You have big dreams of losing weight and creating a healthy, joyful life. But you find yourself craving sugar, caught up in what the scale says, and diet hopping. Dieting is the old way of losing weight. And the good news is I'm going to give you a new way of eating so you can ditch diets for good and build a healthy relationship with real food. My name is Megan Olson, certified nutrition practitioner, creator of Skinny Fitalicious, and your host of the Dish on Diets show. Hello, friends. Today we're talking about menopause and what to eat in menopause. I recently got this message on Instagram from a follower, and it says, I have noticed on Instagram lately that women over 45 shouldn't be eating rice going into perimenopause or menopause stage because rice gets you bloated and it's hard for us women to be losing belly fat. They are saying even though you have been working out for some women many years, you will gain weight because of your hormonal changes. I'm so confused. So the bottom line is no, rice does not automatically convert to belly fat, and that is not why you're carrying around belly fat. It's not rice's fault, and it's not other carbs' fault either, because that's not how our bodies work. It's from eating too many calories and burning too few calories. That's what happens. We're going to dive into this topic because it's a lot more nuanced, I think, than just saying it's too many calories. Okay. So a lot more things to consider. And I think you'll find that this conversation that we're having today is very helpful. Before though we dive into today's topic, I want to share with you the winner for the April cookbook giveaway. So remember, every month from April 2024 through December 2024, I'm doing a cookbook giveaway on the podcast. If you want to be entered to win, all you need to do is leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And the way that you do that is you click on the thumbnail of the Dish on Ditching Diets. You see my little face and you click on my face and then you scroll all the way down to the bottom. Don't click on any of the episodes. Scroll to the bottom and that's where you can do a 5-star rating and review. And remember, make sure you leave the review because that's what's got your username. So if you just do a 5-star rating and you don't leave a written review, I will have no idea who you are. Okay, so this month, for the month of April, we've got app_me_up. So app me up. She writes such good information. I've been listening to Megan's podcast for quite some time. I'm so grateful for all the information that she shares. It has made an enormous difference in my life. I only wish that so many others who struggle with weight loss could find the podcast, listen carefully, and take to heart all that she shares. I know that we all want a fast fix, but if we want permanent results, eventually we will have to quit looking for the quick answers and accept that we must take care of our whole self, doing the basics as Megan calls them. Get steps, be intentional and prepared about meals, get a good night's sleep, build some muscle, not like a maniac, learn to deal with stress and eliminate stress that we can eliminate. I love this review so much, especially the part that says not like a maniac. So app me up. Please send me an email at megan@skinnyfitalicious.com to claim your April cookbook prize so I know where to mail the cookbook to you at. Okay? Alrighty, gang. Let's dive into today's topic because it's a good one. And this might be a long one too, so strap in. Let's first define menopause because I've noticed with some of the clients I've worked with, they have perimenopause and menopause a little bit confused, okay? So menopause is defined as 12 consecutive months without a menstrual cycle. You are technically in menopause after you've had 12 consecutive months without a menstrual cycle. Perimenopause is a time frame leading up to menopause, and that's the time frame when hormones are fluctuating, and there are many symptoms that can occur during this transition. Some women may experience increased anxiety, depression, sleep disturbances, hot flashes, increased hunger, intolerance to stress, increased emotions, brain fog, joint pain. Those are just a few common symptoms along with weight gain. And there's approximately something like 40 symptoms related to menopause. There's a lot. So we're going to discuss in a few minutes more about the weight gain aspect of this, but often these symptoms related to menopause are influencing how you eat and how you exercise, how consistent you are with taking care of your body. Okay. In my nutrition practice, I work only one-on-one with clients. I have been doing that for several years. The majority of my clients are over 35. So they are either in perimenopause or menopause. And a very common question I get from clients and from women is, what should I be eating in menopause? What should I eat in perimenopause? What should I eat for breakfast? What should I eat for lunch? What should I eat for dinner? Tell me what I should be eating. Do you have a meal plan you can give me? I mean, it seems like nobody knows how to eat anymore. And all these women, honestly, when I talk to them, they're so frustrated. They feel like they have gained weight out of nowhere, sometimes overnight. They don't understand what's really changed with their body. They feel very confused about food. And they often have the mindset that certain foods like carbs, like rice and beans and quinoa and bread and oatmeal and even fruit are why they've gained weight. But that's not true. And a lot of these women that I talk to and work with, they tell me, listen, I'm eating the same way. I don't get it. Like, why have I gained this weight? They really haven't changed anything, yet they've got all this weight gain that seemingly happened overnight, or so they feel. And some of these women have never dieted, but many of them have been dieting on and off for years, sometimes decades. And these women are trying so hard with so many things to try to figure out their weight, but they're spinning their wheels and feeling helpless. So first, I think we need to put a few myths to bed about this phase of life and weight gain, because I hear a lot of these things from clients and they tell me these things. And if you think like many of them think, then chances are you are believing some of these myths as well. So one myth is that weight gain is just inevitable in perimenopause and menopause. There are a lot of people out there these days telling women they're just going to gain weight and there's nothing they can do about it. Well, this isn't true. And second, this is so not helpful. I mean, think about it. It's pretty discouraging when you hear some of this messaging, right? That says like, you're just going to gain weight. It's like, ugh, I feel hopeless now. You know, all this does is create fear of weight gain. And there was actually a study looking at perimenopausal women, which I've linked in the show notes for you. And a key risk factor for gaining weight in menopause was fear of weight gain and body dissatisfaction. So this fear mongering and the messaging about weight gain and menopause is actually doing the opposite for women. It's causing them to gain weight because they're scared that they're going to gain weight. I know, it's so crazy. Another myth is that carbs and sugars create fat gain. This is not scientifically a fact. We really need to stop demonizing foods. Fat gain is a result of eating in a calorie surplus and burning fewer calories. So you're basically eating more than your body needs to survive. So your body just does not layer on additional fat from eating rice and beans and quinoa and whole grain and breads and fruits. I mean, I've never met somebody who is like binging on beans, binging on grapes, binging on rice, binging on bread, binging on apples. I mean, does this make sense? Like what? Like I had a client recently say to me, she was making chili and she's like, I think I should omit the beans because I think beans make me fat. They have too many carbs. I'm like, what? Like, what are we talking about here? Why would we omit beans? Like a serving of beans has like 120 calories. Like, that's not the problem. I'm sure of it. I am so sure of it. And I'm sure that beans are actually going to help because they're high in fiber. But, you know, the other thing is just we do this with sugar too. We kind of demonize sugar. I'm going on a no sugar diet. I can't eat anything with sugar. But listen, are you like sitting around with like white sugar and you're just binging on table sugar all day long? You just can't stop eating sugar? No, you're eating things that have sugar and fat has a lot of calories. You're not sitting around eating tablespoons and tablespoons of sugar. No. That's not happening. I mean, what is going on that we think these things? I mean, healthy, complex carbohydrates along with fruits and vegetables are things we need. And we actually need more of them in perimenopause. And I cannot stress this enough. We're losing vitamins and minerals as we age. We need these foods in our diet. Adding these foods to your diet is a good thing. We need to be thinking more about adding these things. And we need to stop thinking so much about taking them away, because the myth is they don't just cause fat gain by themselves, okay? The other myth we need to clarify is that hormonal changes in menopause do not directly cause fat gain. Energy balance is still the driver of fat gain, and this scientific fact does not change in menopause, even though some people will try to convince you otherwise. Hormone changes impact behaviors indirectly, influencing your eating behavior, your exercise behavior, your consistency, and other lifestyle factors that are going on for you during this phase of life are making it easier for you to be eating in a calorie surplus without you even realizing it. Remember, a calorie surplus or a positive energy balance is how body fat gain happens. I talked about this in podcast episode 111. So, hormones do not directly create fat. It is a scientific myth that hormones fluctuating create body fat. That is not how body fat happens even in menopause. But hormones do influence your satiety, how full you feel, your energy levels, your behavior with food, how you eat, how much you eat, your digestion, your mood, how you exercise, how motivated you are, and how consistent you are with taking care of your body overall. So we can't just say it's just calories, because hormones do influence what we're doing with calories. Make sense? And I think that the other thing, I mean, at least this is what I see pretty commonly, is that consistency is a problem for women with taking care of their bodies. I have rarely seen in my nutrition practice a client who has been consistent with getting 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day, hitting their protein and fiber goals, exercising regularly, eating sufficient calories, tracking their food, and doing those things consistently for the last 6 months. Now, I am not pointing this out to you to tell you everything you've been doing wrong and to shame you. No. I think a lot of women, when they hear these things, they immediately go, oh yeah, another person telling me all the things I've been doing wrong. How I'm the problem. This is in no way the intent here, okay? You probably did not know you needed to be doing these things. You had no idea because you've been distracted by all the diets you've done that were nothing more than short-term weight loss. They didn't teach you about taking care of your body and creating sustainable habits, or how to change your mindset, or how to get rid of your all or nothing thinking. And you never learned in school about nutrition and how to properly fuel your body. It's not your fault if you did not know these things, so do not interpret the message that way. You have also been distracted by people telling you these other things, like it's your cortisol, it's your gut, you need to take these expensive supplements, do this gut protocol, do this detox. I'm here to tell you today that none of those things will move the needle for you long term. They are just distractions, and no, cortisol is not making you fat. This is one of the latest trends on social media making me so angry. Cortisol does not directly cause fat gain. That is a myth. Indirectly, you are eating more food because of stress and retaining more water if you are gaining weight and stressed. People who are in concentration camps, I'm sure, are pretty stressed out, don't you think? Are they gaining weight? No. They're withering away and losing weight. They're not like miraculously gaining weight and having cortisol face because they're so stressed out. Last year, when I lost my father and went through a bad breakup that stunned me, I lost some weight. I was under tremendous stress. You know what I was doing? Not eating dinner because I had no appetite. Some people have a lot more appetite when they're stressed. Some people, like me, have no appetite. So stress impacts people in different ways, and this notion that cortisol somehow causes fat gain is ridiculous. If you see someone selling a cortisol supplement or calling themselves a cortisol coach, unfollow them immediately. They are scammers, and all they are doing is distracting you from the things that truly will help you manage your weight and live a vibrant life. So cortisol causing fat gain is another myth, but let's get back to consistency. Because the bottom line is a lot of women think they're doing everything right, but the symptoms happening in menopause are impacting their behaviors with food and exercise, and consistency is often very subtle, especially if you're not tracking things. For example, lack of sleep. There was a meta-analysis done where participants were lacking sleep, and they found that these individuals ate on average 270 calories more as a result of being sleep deprived. The study is linked for you in the show notes. This is just one example of where you may not realize how lack of sleep or poor sleep quality is impacting your behavior with food and causing you to consume more calories. If you were not tracking your food, how would you know? You wouldn't. Pretty easy to eat an extra 270 calories every day. A lot of us grab extra bites of food here and there, and we think those little things won't matter, but they add up. Oh, yes, they do. Also, poor emotional coping mechanisms. Emotions are heightened during this phase of life because you've got fluctuating hormones. I mean, remember, when we were back in puberty, I don't know about you, but I was all over the place with my hormones going up and down and changing. And you probably, if you've got teenage daughters, you're probably seeing this too. It's no different for you. So women are often leaning on these emotional coping behaviors like drinking more alcohol and eating more food to soothe their emotions. Many women I have seen in practice are drinking alcohol and using food to cope with their emotions. Some think that losing weight will solve these emotions, these bad feelings they have about themselves. But losing weight does not fix your life or solve how you feel about things in your life. That is what therapy is for. If you use food and alcohol to cope with your emotions, that behavior isn't going to stop just because you lose 10 pounds. No, it doesn't. Believe me, it doesn't. And I do want to discuss alcohol for a minute. Alcohol is a class 1 carcinogen, okay? And a class 1 carcinogen is something that has significant scientific evidence that it causes cancer. Tobacco, asbestos, radiation, and alcohol are all in this category. If you are worried about eating fruits and carbs, but you are drinking alcohol, I highly recommend you step back and challenge your thinking on this. Drinking alcohol regularly significantly increases your risk for cancer, diabetes, and vascular diseases like dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. Drinking alcohol is also doing you no favors when it comes to fat loss. Oh no. Losing weight and drinking alcohol regularly is like trying to run a marathon without legs. You are making it so much harder for yourself if you're doing that. In my opinion, alcohol has become way too normalized in our society, and many people are coping with life using alcohol. If you need to drink alcohol every night to unwind, you may have a dependency issue. If you're having 5 to 7 or more drinks a week as a female, I really encourage you to get help with this behavior. There are a lot healthier coping mechanisms I can think of than using a class 1 carcinogen. Go for a walk, read a book, join a Bible study, take up a hobby. When it comes to the specific goal of losing body fat, you can easily consume a lot of excess calories from alcohol, and most people do eat more when they drink alcohol. Alcohol also disrupts REM sleep, and there's all kinds of research on that. So if you are not getting good sleep, your energy is going to be lower, and you will eat more food and calories in response to that. It's just a vicious cycle. And now if you're going through perimenopause with all these symptoms, you're just throwing fuel on the fire with all these symptoms by doing that. And like I said, it's going to make your fat loss journey a lot harder. But at the end of the day, we are all adults. I don't think there's anything wrong with having alcohol moderately in your life, but doing it regularly every day, several times a week, like I was saying, 5 to 7 or more drinks a week. Yeah, that's something I think you really have to take a deep look at. Okay? Now, additionally, there are a lot of other lifestyle factors happening for women during perimenopause and menopause, like aging parents, sick parents, loss, grief, young children, teenage children, kids leaving home. You're being pulled in a million directions. You have a career to keep up with. These lifestyle factors, in combination with the symptoms of perimenopause, are impacting your eating behavior, your exercise behavior, and your consistency. And it's very easy to not realize this. These lifestyle factors are also impacting your ability to lose weight and make progress. Not impossible, but life is hard. There's a lot of hard stuff we start going through, I'd say around 40. There's all these like life things that are just so stressful. And plus you're trying to manage your family and your career and your household and all your extracurricular activities. And then you're trying to lose weight and take care of your health. And these things are going on and you're dealing with these symptoms. I mean, I have so much sympathy and compassion for any woman trying to improve their health and lose some body fat, because there are just a lot of things that just happen and they suck. And sometimes they really do come pouring down on you. But these are reasons why women are inconsistent with habits. And listen, no fasting protocol, no carb slashing diet, no detox program, no macros, no cortisol supplement is going to help you dealing with those things. It's just not. The other thing is that during this phase of life, many women are way less active as they head towards menopause, and they don't usually recognize this. This was validated in a very large 2021 study that came out, and I've talked about this one quite a few times on this podcast. That study that came out, it showed that metabolism does not slow as individuals age, and actually individuals are just moving less as they age, meaning they are burning fewer calories. People are way less active. They're sitting more as they age. So if you think about it, it kind of makes sense, right? When your kids were young, you were probably chasing them around and picking them up and getting close to 10,000 steps a day. Now, maybe you're getting like 3,000, maybe 4,000 steps, and you're not chasing kids, you're not picking them up, and you're coping with stress with alcohol and food. You're eating more calories and you're way less active, and you probably don't realize any of these things. So it's not that your body's broken. It's not that your body can't process carbs anymore and that it lays down carbs as fat, or that your body can't process sugar. It's really that this phase of life makes it much easier to be in a calorie surplus, which creates fat gain, and it can make it harder for women to stay consistent with a calorie deficit to lose body fat. Not impossible, never impossible. It's just harder to be consistent with habits and a calorie deficit depending on what you have going on in your life, what you're dealing with, and what symptoms you're experiencing. In my opinion, I think this is good news because there's like no big mystery here. We know the things now we need to focus on. And I really think it's so disempowering to say to women that cortisol is the problem, or carbs are the problem, or sugar is the problem, or fruit's the problem, or calories don't matter, or you can't eat rice. I mean, to me, these things are just distractions because it removes you from the fundamental solution to the problem. It clouds your awareness and it doesn't allow you to self-reflect and think, what has changed over the last 10, 20, 30 years? How many steps have I been getting for the last 10 years, 20 years? Maybe I should start tracking my data. I mean, this is the thing, like we just get distracted by all of these things and we're just kind of like missing the fundamentals. So when I work with a client, I'm looking at their overall dietary pattern, and this is what a lot of people don't get. I mean, isolating one food, isolating one ingredient, or isolating one food group, it doesn't tell you a whole lot about a person's health and how they're feeling their body. And it's so important to hammer this home to all of you listening to this, that no one food is detrimental to your health. What are you eating and how are you eating most of the time? And how does that way of eating make you feel? I mean, when a woman asks me what they should be eating in menopause, you know what I say? More lean protein, more fruits and vegetables, more fiber, more complex carbs like whole grains, beans, lentils, rice, quinoa, and limiting refined sugars and ultra-processed foods. Stop focusing on what to cut out and start focusing on what to add that's healthy. I really believe this is how most people try to approach weight loss, by thinking about all the things they need to cut out. I'm telling you right now, if this is you, stop doing that. Stop, 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 stop. I promise if that approach was going to work for you, if that way of thinking was going to work, it already would have, and you wouldn't be sitting here listening to me. Start focusing on what to add and realize that you don't have to eat perfectly healthy every day to lose weight. And if that is something you think, this is a myth. Do you need to work on improving your food quality? Absolutely. But do you need to eat perfectly clean and perfectly healthy every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to lose weight? No, that's so stupid. No, you don't need to do that. And this is why I see so many women struggling, is because they have the mindset with food that when they think they ate something that was bad, they think they screwed up because it was less nutritious. They get mad and then they give up. They're like, oh my gosh, I ate this less nutritional food. I'm never going to lose weight. And it's like, what? Like one meal or one food is not detrimental to your goals. I promise you. I mean, so what? You went out and had pizza. So what? You had ice cream. So what? That's not going to be like the end of everything for you. We act like it is, but it's not. I mean, having this better approach and mindset, it's now going to put you back in the driver's seat of figuring out what foods you enjoy eating and what makes you feel your best, because every single person is different. Having someone just tell you, eat these foods and cut these foods out, is just another version of a restrictive diet. Honestly, I think there are some women who want that. They want somebody to just tell them what to cut out and what to exactly eat because they like diet rules. A lot of women are rule followers, and they want rules because they don't trust themselves with food. Think about this. You don't trust yourself with food. That's crazy. I literally have women ask me if grapes have too much sugar or if they should cut beans out of their chili. That's so silly. Eat the beans. Eat the grapes. I promise. Those are not the reasons why you are overweight. All of you who think these things and question these things, you really need to stop and ask yourself what the diet industry has done to you. What has diet culture done to your mindset and relationship with food? Because I want you to recognize how disempowering this is and how silly it sounds to be scared of some of these health-promoting foods. I want you to recognize you are in the driver's seat and you do have the power here. You do have control, and you do need to stop fearing food. No one food makes you fat. No one food group makes you fat. Not even sugar makes you fat. And if you have a doctor who's telling you these type of things, you better find another doctor. What are you eating most of the time? What's your dietary pattern look like most of the time? How are you feeling your body? How much protein are you eating? How much fiber are you eating? How many calories do you aim for in your meals and snacks? If you don't know these things, then that's what you truly have to work on. Because restricting food just leads to overeating. There are tons of studies on this. People can restrict and cut foods out for a certain period of time, but the more you restrict, the more obsessed you become around that food, the more you fear it, and the more likely you are to binge. So every time you buy into one of these quacks on social media or buy into one of your doctors who are quacks who are telling you just to cut your carbs, telling you not to eat grapes or whatever food they're demonizing these days, all you're doing is feeding into that binge restrict cycle that many people fall into when trying to lose weight. And you're just worsening your relationship with food. You are creating more disordered eating patterns for yourself when you listen to these people scaring you about food. Stop listening to them. Cut them out of your life. I don't care if you're a doctor. I don't care. Cut them out. Do you know how many clients I talk to who their doctors are giving them bad advice? A lot. It's almost outrageous. It's insane. And it's really sad from my perspective because I work with a lot of people. It's really sad to see so many women scared of food. Scared of healthy foods, not knowing what to eat. They don't trust themselves anymore, and it's really, really sad. And you probably have years and years and years confirming your own beliefs that you can't be trusted around food. You have to work on breaking down these beliefs by practicing eating these foods mindfully. And eating mindfully is not restricting. It's giving yourself unconditional permission to eat foods you enjoy, but slowing down and eating them bite by bite, really focusing on what you're doing. Because I think some women have food amnesia. They eat over the sink in a rush or eat sometime in the afternoon and they're eating so fast, or at night they're eating so fast on the couch and they're distracted and they're out of their bodies, so they don't recognize or remember what they're even doing. This is why some women are like, I don't understand, and barely eating and gaining weight. Well, you don't gain weight without a calorie surplus. Excess calories are coming in somewhere. And sometimes we have food amnesia about what we're doing and what we're eating. Not everyone, but I have seen this with some women I've worked with. People are not mindful these days when they're eating. They're not sitting. They're not paying attention. They're on their phones. They're in front of the TV. They're working in front of a computer. So it's almost like the eating of the food didn't happen. It didn't register in your mind that you're actually full and that you were overeating. You have to really slow down if this is you and work on giving yourself unconditional permission to eat all foods, even less nutritious ones, and slowing down when you eat, because no one food is good or bad by itself. It's your overall dietary pattern that matters, and where our focus goes, our habits flow. This is why I always say, focus on what you can add that's healthy, not what you take away. Can you add more protein? Can you add fruits and vegetables? What health promoting habits can you add? Can you add a walk? Can you add a nap? Can you add strength training? I mean, a lot of people will focus on, I come home at 3:00 and I overeat. Okay, how much protein are you getting every single day? I'd rather you focus on that than the fact that you're overeating at 3:00, because I'm almost guaranteeing that you're probably not getting enough protein, you're probably not getting enough fiber, and your calories are probably too low earlier in the day, causing you to be starving at 3:00 and crash into the pantry looking for everything. So if we focus on protein and fiber and getting adequate calories earlier in the day, 3:00 isn't going to be as much of a problem. But what most people do is they're like, I got to cut out everything I eat at 3:00. I got to get rid of these snacks. Except that doesn't work, because it's not actually solving the real problem. The 3:00 eating is just a symptom of everything else that you're missing. That's why I say change your focus. And also recognize it is normal for you to overeat from time to time. You're human. Humans are going to overeat sometimes. Everybody does. Even I do. I overate pirate's booty last weekend. I'm not doing it every day, but yes, it happens from time to time. The problem most individuals run into is they criticize themselves for every imperfect moment. Listen, self-criticism only leads to a cycle of guilt and shame. Imagine shaming your child for mispronouncing a word when they were learning to read. Criticizing a child is only going to shut them down, and it's not going to motivate them to continue practicing and learning to read. This is no different with any behavior change at any age. People's behaviors do not change positively from self-criticism. The opposite happens. You will faceplant in a bucket of ice cream or eat an entire pizza once you go down the path of criticizing yourself. You are no different than a child, my dear. As you are learning new behaviors and habits to take care of your health, you are no different than a child. Imagine getting mad at an infant who's 3 months old for not being able to walk and dress themselves yet. That is you. You are an infant learning in this process and expecting yourself to be a toddler walking already. No one makes positive changes for the long term being a jerk to themselves. I don't care what your mother did to you when you were a child. I don't care how you were raised. You can learn new habits and behaviors at any age. I promise. You can change anytime you want to. I promise. Stop fighting for your past and start fighting for your future self. Allow yourself self-compassion in these moments when you think you've screwed up or had an oops day, an oops week, or an oops month. This allows you to self-reflect on the behavior, on what happened, on what solutions you might be able to try the next time that situation occurs, or if you just need to move on. Allowing self-compassion allows you the space to self-reflect. But when you guilt and shame yourself, you are missing out on the self-reflection and all the potential solutions that are going to help you grow and change. And your expectations also feed into your behaviors. If you expect to gain weight in menopause, if you think there is nothing you can do about it, that is going to feed into how you show up for yourself, the actions you take, how consistent you are with your actions. If you think weight gain is just inevitable in menopause, you will be inconsistent with your behaviors and habits, and you will get the opposite results than what you want. YOLO, I'm going to eat and drink whatever I want because I'm going to gain weight anyways. I mean, I can't stress enough how much your mindset feeds into your habits and behaviors. You really have to self-reflect on, how you think about some of these things, ladies, because your mindset can sabotage you so easily. And you may need to adjust your expectations of what is realistic in this phase of life and how fast you can lose weight, how fast you can change some of these behaviors, how fast you see results, etc. Get your validation not from the scale, but from your behaviors, from your habits, from how you show up for yourself, and what you're doing to support your body, your health, your future you. Let me say that again. Get your validation not from the scale, but from your habits and behaviors. Ultimately, this is what determines whether you maintain weight loss in the future. If you keep using the scale to validate yourself, then keeping weight off is always going to be a struggle no matter what diet you follow or how sustainable that diet was. What do you want? Do you want long-term weight loss? Do you want to improve your health? Are you looking for a better relationship with food and your body image? Are you looking for habits and behaviors that add value to your life? Or are you just looking to manipulate the number on the scale? I'm not blaming or shaming anyone for getting their validation and self-worth from the scale. I was once just like that too. And many women have been conditioned to do that from years of going to Weight Watchers. As an example, they throw you on that scale and celebrate you each time you lose weight. Why wouldn't you feel like you need validation from the scale? That's what you've been taught. But reflecting back on that and recognizing how that has kept you stuck and has conditioned you to now think this way, and it's now holding you back. This is key to moving forward and getting out of this cycle. You can want to improve your body composition. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but you do have to learn to validate yourself with habits, not the scale. Otherwise, you get to maintenance and you're still having to get your steps, do some strength training and exercise, still having to pay attention to eating high quality foods, eating your protein, eating your fiber, eating your fruits and vegetables to maintain your weight loss. What's going to motivate you to do that if you don't learn to get your validation from habits while you're losing weight and not the scale? This is why people regain weight. The scale stops going down. Now, where's the gratification going to come from to keep up with your habits? If you are not in the habit of praising yourself for how you show up for yourself, then it's really easy to go back to food for validation. And that's something I really encourage all of you to think about. Menopausal women have been targeted for years and decades with fad dieting, misinformation, and this has resulted in a poor relationship with food and a poor relationship with their body for a lot of women. Many women are heading into menopause and their bodies are under-muscled, underfed, have low bone density, have a low basal metabolic rate. So many women are not where they should be for going through this phase of life. And these things compound over the years as you head towards menopause. But then many women go right back to the diet industry thinking that's the solution. That doesn't make sense. I mean, think about this. How have you been taking care of your body the last 5, 10, 20, 30 years? Have you been getting your steps, 7,000 to 10,000 steps for the last 20 years? Have you been getting your protein and fiber for the last 20 years? Have you been building your meals with all foods that you enjoy, that are balanced, with enough protein and fiber and within the range of calories your body needs for the last 20 years? Have you been consistently tracking your food on and off and doing strength training for 20 years? If you haven't been, it's okay. You probably didn't know you needed to be doing these things. But this is why you have now gained weight. Not because grapes and bananas are suddenly turning into fat every time you eat them. But now you know what you need to focus on, and it's never too late to start doing these things. I've got some clients who are in their 70s. Sharon, she's 75. I think she was 76 when we recorded her podcast a few months ago. And she talks about this, like how she now has all this freedom and peace around food. It's never too late. You can get this at any age. And I do speak to a lot of women over 35 who think they should just have all this stuff with food figured out by now. They think they should have it all together around food. And menopause by itself, I feel like, is loaded with a lot of shame. I just want you all to recognize you've been subjected to diet culture that's been bombarded at you for decades. It's so important for you to recognize this and give yourself some compassion. Your behaviors, your beliefs around food have been forming for a long time from all of this diet culture noise. Why should you have it figured out by now? What makes you think that? Says who? I mean, we've all been raised with diet culture. How would you know any better unless you've gotten help? How are you supposed to know this stuff? You're not supposed to, which is why I'm saying you need to have a lot of grace with yourself and do not interpret this message that you've been doing everything wrong and that you're somehow a bad person. If you want to think that way and it's serving you to think that way, go ahead. I mean, and my response is, how is that moving you forward? It's not. I mean, why would we waste any of our mental energy in that department? It's not going to help you move forward. It's just going to keep you stuck. So you spend the time thinking about things that are going to serve you. But if you're going to sit back and say, oh, another person telling me I'm not doing anything right, and you're going to just sit there, it's going to keep you stuck. How's it serving you? It's not. That's not the message at all. But you know what the worst part of all of this is? We've all been raised with this diet culture nonsense. The worst part is that the diet industry has figured out that they can now capitalize on this very vulnerable group of women going through menopause. And that's why you see things like women should fast, women should cut carbs, or buy my menopause book or plan. People are marketing these things to menopausal women to sell you their gut detox, their cortisol drinks, their supplements, their hair test, their boot camp, their 6-week program or book. The sad thing is, none of it is good for menopause fat loss, and none of it is based in science. That's why you see all this misinformation and all of these things targeting this very vulnerable group. I actually talked about this marketing towards menopausal women in podcast episode 108, the 8 myths holding you hostage. And there was one specific diet I brought up in that podcast called the Galveston diet. And it is marketed as the diet for menopausal women. I spoke about this diet and shared my concerns about this diet in the podcast episode. And OBGYN came up with this diet and she wrote this book. And as far as I understand, it was based on what helped her lose weight. And anytime I see something about, what helped me lose weight, and then somebody packages is like, everybody should do this, I'm always like, yeah, that's a red flag. I mean, when I help a client, everybody's totally different. Like, everybody's on their own path, doing their own thing. And it's not based on what I did. It's based on where they're at and what's going to help them. So there's no one size fits all. And so anytime I see a book that's packaged that way, that's immediately a red flag. But basically the diet has you fasting and doing carb cycling and counting macros. And this doctor uses misleading claims in her book to support her theory that calorie deficits are outdated and don't work. However, as I mentioned in podcast 108, the citations she uses to support some of her claims are from studies that say a calorie deficit works exactly the same as fasting. Weight loss results with fasting are no better, yet she is misleading people in this book with citing claims like this in her book. And the general public is not versed in reading studies and trials. I mean, I had to take classes in nutrition school about reading studies. I'm sure if you read a book by a doctor like this one, you probably think to yourself, oh, wow, this is a great book. She has all these citations to support her claims. Yet in reality, her citations do not support many of her claims. And you would never know this as somebody in the general population. And this is why she's been able to fool so many women into believing her plan is something groundbreaking. It's not. And she also tells women there's, specific fruits and specific vegetables they can't eat. None of it supported by randomized control trials. She claims there's a specific macronutrient ratio that all menopausal women should be following. Also not supported by scientific studies, yet women are blindly following and believing her advice because she's a doctor. If you don't think a doctor has the capability of misleading you to capitalize and make money on your pain, you are very, very wrong. And you need to open your eyes to what's happening. After I shared that podcast, I did a short reel on Instagram because the Galveston diet is one that I constantly get asked about. And I was sharing my concerns in response to a question I got from a follower on Instagram. And I shared that, this diet's really restrictive, it's not backed by science, and that the doctor's claims are misleading and her citations are misleading in her book. And somehow this doctor got a hold of my reel and shared it on her Instagram, which led to hundreds of her followers attacking me. I didn't care though. I know the truth. I know what I know. And she's scamming menopausal women with this very restrictive diet. I ended up gaining actually a bunch of new clients who realized they couldn't follow her diet and that it was just too crazy. And some of these new clients of mine told me that this doctor, anytime someone challenges her, she posts something on her social media to get her followers to attack them. You have to ask yourself this question. Would a truly credible doctor do that? Why would you care what I'm saying? You've got hundreds of thousands of followers. Why would you care what I'm saying? Unless you're trying to hide something. So you really have to ask yourself, would a truly credible doctor reshare something like this? If they really, really were so confident in what they were doing, I don't think so. Maybe this doctor is doing great things for women in other ways. I really have no way of knowing. But in terms of this specific diet in her book, it's definitely a no. It's just another restrictive diet marketed to menopausal women with false claims. And oh, by the way, she's now selling supplements. Anytime I see someone selling their own supplements, I know they are just trying to make money off of a vulnerable group of people. And in this case, it's menopausal women. Like I always say, can you do that diet until you're 85 years old? If you can and you enjoy it and it works for you, great. I'm very happy for you. But if you can't, it's just another restrictive diet. Another diet that has been targeted to women in perimenopause is faster way to fat loss. I get asked about this diet all the time, probably about once a week from followers on social media. There are many red flags with this diet, and you see them immediately when you go to their website where it states, lose up to 15 pounds of fat and gain lean muscle in just 6 weeks. So first of all, this sounds great, right? This is exactly what I want. But listen, it's not possible to gain lean muscle and lose fat simultaneously. That's a false claim. To lose fat, you need to be in a caloric deficit. And to gain muscle, you need to be at maintenance with your calories and or in a calorie surplus. These are two separate nutritional phases. It's called nutritional periodization. And you have to do them absolutely separately. You absolutely cannot achieve these two things simultaneously at the same time. It doesn't, that's not how it works. Most people don't know that though. There is one caveat to this. If you are completely new to exercise and eating healthy, you've never exercised a day in your life and you never been eating healthy, then this is about the only time when somebody can gain some lean muscle while simultaneously losing body fat. Otherwise, you have to work these things as two different phases, which is something I work on with my clients. So right here, this is a misleading claim that is a red flag, but most people don't know this. The other red flag is that it states, lose up to 15 pounds in 6 weeks. Oh my God, this sounds like, amazing, right? So here's the thing. If you are losing 15 pounds in 6 weeks, that's about a 2.5 pound loss per week. You have to be eating extremely low calories, very, very few calories to achieve that. A 1 pound loss per week means you're eating about 500 calories less per day. A 2 pound loss per week means 1,000 calories less a day you're eating. A 2.5 pound loss per week means you're eating 1,250 calories less per day. That is really extreme. If your maintenance calories are 2,000 calories a day, that means you are now only eating 700 to 800 calories daily to lose 2.5 pounds a week. This is just another crash diet being marketed to midlife women, and Faster Way to Fat Loss is doing this by having you carb cycle, count macros, and fast. 3 things that are completely unnecessary for weight loss, because studies show when you control protein and calories, you get results. Why are we making weight loss harder? Why would you want to do it harder? Just so you can lose 15 pounds in 6 weeks and crash diet? Is that why you want to make it harder? Because you can do this easier, you know. I mean, when you see these type of programs, ladies, where the promises seem too good to be true, red flags should be going off in your head. A half a pound a week is usually what I recommend to my clients, unless they have a lot of weight to lose. And then 1 pound a week is reasonable for those clients. But a half a pound a week means you get to eat more food, you're not starving, your energy is good, and it's just really gentle on the body. It's not so extreme. I actually had a consultation a while back with a woman who did do Faster Way to Fat Loss, and I have had many clients come to me who've done this program. And this particular person that I had a consultation with said she gained the weight back after she stopped doing the program because she just couldn't keep up with all the strict rules. Right? Fasting, carb cycling, counter macros. I mean, this is insane. Even I would never want to do this stuff. This sounds dreadful to me. Dreadful. I mean, you are making weight loss so much harder than it needs to be. For what? To lose weight faster and then just to regain it down the road? I mean, that is just insane. And it's also insane to me that people do this program and don't realize it's an MLM. Anytime you see something that's an MLM, that should be a big red flag to you. And the other thing is that the coaches that are part of this MLM, from what I understand, they don't have nutritional education. I mean, what are we doing? Why are we falling for these things? And listen, I'm sure people can lose weight on diets like this. You're only eating 700 to 800 calories. But can you keep doing this to keep weight off until you're 85 years old? I mean, what really makes me so angry is that these programs are marketed to you as if they came up with something magical for women 40 and up. They came up with this shortcut that no one else on the planet knows about. Come on. This is the biggest scam ever, and it's being marketed to menopausal women. I talked previously about cortisol and how this has become a big thing on social media as well, marketed to menopausal women. I actually saw a woman's account on Instagram the other day claiming she was a cortisol coach, and that by drinking her cortisol drink, you could just lose weight. There's no such thing as a cortisol coach, first of all. And I was flabbergasted by what I saw on her page. She had thousands and thousands of views and thousands of comments, thousands of shares on all of her videos. One video had 30,000 comments. 30,000 women commented to get her cortisol drink. 30,000 of you falling for this crap. We are in a time when people like this woman who's claiming to be a cortisol coach, which isn't even a thing, are spreading misinformation on social media, and misinformation is spreading like wild because the algorithms are favoring the people who spread misinformation, not the people who share scientific evidence. And it just makes me really angry for women. We are up against enough as women in life without being up against all this information, making it harder and more confusing to take care of our health. Cortisol does not make you fat. Most people, when they're stressed, are eating more calories, and that is how they're gaining weight. Cortisol goes up when you exercise. You get fat from exercise? I mean, please stop falling for this. Please, for your own sake, stop believing this nonsense. I mean, 30,000 people? Really? Listen, I get it. When you're desperate for a quick solution and you want to feel better and you want to lose weight, it's really easy to fall for these things. It's so easy to blame your willpower and try another diet, another fad thing you see on social media, rather than to get curious about your habits and behaviors, get curious about your relationship with food, get curious about your relationship with your body, because that's what you've always done. You've always said, it's my willpower, I'm lazy, I'm useless. It's easier going on another diet than to do the deeper work, self-reflecting on your habits and behaviors. What have I been doing the last 10, 20, 30 years? How have I been taking care of my body? It's not easy to look at yourself and get honest with how you have been taking care of your health. I get it, it's not easy. It's a really tough thing to do. And doing this work is scary because you never went about it this way, right? But what's scarier? Staying the way you are now or getting help so you can move forward? Having the courage to ask for help? What is your resistance with getting help? What are your beliefs around getting help? Are you ashamed to ask for help? I mean, I feel so bad for so many of the women I speak to because they're just looking and trying and spinning their wheels. And there's so many good people like me and other coaches out there who are doing the good work who can help people like you. Like, why don't you get help? It's okay to ask for help. You don't need to do some crazy TikTok trend or another fad diet that you see on Instagram that's restricting you of all the foods you enjoy and making you spend thousands of dollars on supplements you don't need. It's okay to actually find a doctor who's going to listen to you and not a doctor who's going to tell you to do silly things with your diet. You don't need to suffer. Social media makes women feel powerless, and I'm sick of it. There's so much you can control. You are in control of your behaviors. You are in control of what doctor you see. You are in control of what people you listen to on social media. You are in the driver's seat here, and you are in control. Focus on what you can control during this phase of life. I can't stress that enough. So, when it comes to food, what to eat in menopause? That's the question we're trying to finally get to today, right? Well, I never, ever, ever tell any of my clients what to eat. If you listen to any of my clients who've been on this podcast, many of them have said this. I never told them what to eat. I give them nutritional guidelines and goals. This is how much protein I want you to get. By the way, I want you to add a fruit or vegetable. And by the way, I want you to get some fiber. And then once they do that, the rest of their calories, they can divvy them up the way they want. Whatever makes them feel their best. It's really that simple. And so many of you are taking the hard road. When I'm working with a client, we talk about how much protein they need to eat and how to reach that goal if they're not sure how to do that. We talk about how much fiber they need to be aiming for and how to reach that fiber goal in their meals if they're not sure how to do that. We talk about balanced meals. What does a balanced meal look like? We talk about what meals they already make right now and how to make small tweaks to them. I don't give them a million recipes and tell them to go on Pinterest and search for 1,000 recipes. Who's got time for that? Nobody's got time for that these days. You're already making meals at home. All you need to do is look at your meals and figure out how to make some small tweaks. That's it. Simple. We talk about how many calories they need to aim for. We talk about how to divvy those calories up amongst their meals and snacks. We talk about how to include less nutritious foods versus restricting them. We talk about how to get their protein when they go out to eat, when they go to a friend's house, what strategies to use on vacation and when traveling. Sounds pretty practical, huh? Yeah, because it is. I would be doing a great disservice to anyone if I were just to tell them, here's what you need to eat. And anyone you are working with or following, if they are just handing you a list of foods to avoid in a meal plan, telling you to fast, telling you to cut out carbs, or telling you to follow these macros, they are doing you a great disservice, my dear. There is no menopause food plan for weight loss that applies to every single woman on the planet. You are individual. You are unique. Every woman is different and everyone has different likes and dislikes and differences in lifestyles, making their eating challenges all different. And there is no one eating plan that fits all of those scenarios. It just doesn't exist. The focus in menopause needs to be eating more lean protein, eating more fruits and vegetables, eating more healthy complex carbohydrates, eating more fiber, being more mindful around refined sugars and ultra-processed foods, getting more NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, also known as just getting your steps, doing some resistance training, being as active as you can, getting good sleep, and maybe cutting out alcohol. Unfortunately, most Americans are eating what's called the standard American diet, which consists of a lot of highly processed foods and alcohol. The focus for everyone, not just women in menopause, should be adding more lean proteins, adding more fruits and veggies, adding more fiber, adding more complex carbohydrates, making meals that are satisfying. I can't stress this enough. I work with clients on this all the time. If you're eating broccoli and green beans and a chicken breast for lunch, that's not satisfying. They need to be satisfying. Meals should not be boring. So satisfying meals, adding more sleep, adding more steps, adding more exercise or general movement, adding a little resistance training. I know it feels like these things aren't hard enough to really work and get you the results you want, which is a reason why women avoid doing these things and continue searching for other solutions. It's also why you fall victim to these social media diet trends. Truthfully, the women who say these simple things don't work are the same women who are not consistent with these things. They don't have their average steps over the last 6 months. They haven't tracked their food over the last 6 months. They don't know their average protein over the last 6 months. They don't know their average fiber over the last 6 months. They don't know their average calories over the last 6 months. The women who say these things do not work are the same women who do not have this data and who have not been consistent with the basics. The basics do work when you are consistent with them. And in menopause, there's going to be ups and downs. Life is going to happen. Remember what I said earlier? Life is hard. It is very, very hard. And I have a lot of compassion for anyone who is trying to improve their health, improve their life with better habits when you're trying to be an adult. Adulting is hard. And sometimes during this phase of life, you are going to be more dialed in with your habits than other times. And you just need to recognize that things in life are going to happen. You can't control them. And that means you are going to have grace with yourself, and you need to give yourself self-compassion and just release this mindset that you have to be perfect 100% of the time to see results. Taking imperfect action is always better than taking zero action. And yes, it might be slower seeing weight loss results, but aren't slow results better than no results? Aren't slow results better than feeling frustrated, fearing food, restricting foods you enjoy? Aren't slow results better than losing weight fast only to regain it repeatedly? Aren't slow results better than restricting all the foods you enjoy only to binge on them and feel bad about yourself? Aren't slow results better than feeling confused, always questioning if what you're doing is right and not trusting yourself around food? I'm just asking. The bottom line is there are not any right foods or a best food plan or a perfect meal plan or a different way of eating that you should be doing in perimenopause or menopause. But there are certain guidelines like getting enough protein, hitting your fiber, getting more fruits and vegetables. I really can't stress this enough. One thing that you could definitely work on is just getting 500 grams of fruits and vegetables every day. People are so deficient in fruits and vegetables, and this is something that can add so much to your life. Truly, it's so good when you eat more fruits and vegetables. You're going to feel so much better. Just work on adding 500 grams of fruits and vegetables. Don't worry about anything else. Try it. Try it for 2 weeks and see what happens. Really flooding the body with these health-promoting, nutrient-dense foods, and also adding more complex carbohydrates, more fiber. Not Metamucil, fiber from food. Less than 5% of Americans are meeting the fiber recommendation. That means there's a lot of opportunity to work on fiber for the population. One of the most underrated nutrients that does not get talked about enough, in my opinion, fiber. So, again, there is no right food plan for perimenopause or menopause. Carbs don't just layer on fat in menopause. Your body can still process sugars and carbs just fine in menopause unless you're diabetic. A calorie deficit is still required and still works even in menopause to lose weight, but you may be burning fewer calories than you realize from lack of activity. You may be eating more food than you realize from a lot of the lifestyle things that are going on and a lot of the symptoms you're experiencing. Cortisol does not cause you to gain body fat. This is all good news, right? Because now you can spot some of the people who are preying on you during this vulnerable phase of life. And I know it's really easy to fall victim to these things when you're feeling a certain way about your body. You're desperate for answers, for a solution, to feel better. But I also want to remind you that your body is going through a major transition. It's like reverse puberty. Can you imagine if you had a daughter going through puberty right now and you were criticizing her for gaining weight and needing to buy new clothes as her body was changing? No. You would never do that to your daughter. And I want you to have that same gentleness with yourself. I think sometimes we have this mindset that our bodies should still look the way that they looked when we were 20 or 30. Bodies change as we age. That doesn't mean you can't want to look better, lose some body fat, build muscle, get stronger, improve your body composition. You can simultaneously accept that your body is aging and changing and also want to improve your body composition. I mean, one of my goals is to be able to, do pull-ups. And I want to be somebody who's 60, 70 years old in the gym doing pull-ups. That is one of my goals. To be able to do that. I want to be strong as I age. Really, I do. And, I do think sometimes some women kind of want the body that they had when they were in their 20s or 30s before they had kids. I mean, is that realistic? I don't know. Give yourself some gentleness. Your body has probably done a lot for you. It's taken you places, it's walked you through different seasons of life, and you've probably even birthed children. Have some gratitude for what your body has done for you and give back to it with adding in some of these healthy habits. It's not a punishment. These are good things to feel really proud of and good about. And like I said, life is hard. If you're working on these things at this phase of life, you've got to give yourself so much credit. Like I mentioned to you earlier, instead of measuring the scale so much and getting your validation from the scale, start measuring your habits. Start measuring how you show up for your future you, how you show up for yourself. Get your validation from your habits and your behaviors, not the scale. Okay? That's all we have today, ladies. Well, I hope that this conversation was helpful for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hey, if you enjoyed this podcast, you have to come check out my free weight loss class. It's the 5 steps to lasting weight loss, how hormones impact weight loss, and the truth about lasting weight loss without relying on willpower, workouts, or deprivation. Click the link in the show notes to watch that free class today. And if you are a woman over 35 with 20 to 50 or more pounds to lose, schedule a free weight loss breakthrough session with me after you watch that class. And let's talk about your 20 to 50 or more pound weight loss plan.